Dylan Butler dropping by. Dylan, good to see you, my friend. I know that things are running in the spring sports about 9,000 miles an hour. The late summer sports about 9,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the mug this morning?
You're not going to like it.
Oh, I'm not. Well, I figured. Well, look, I'm an Angels fan, so it kind of is irrelevant for me.
I guess I just assumed you were a Braves fan.
Oh no. Raised here, watched it here, grew up on Skip Carey, and made sure that you got to pay attention to what was going on inside the broadcast booth. But no, I'm an Angels fan. I born in the 714. And I'm an Angels fan. Grew up on Reggie in an Angels uniform, and it's one of the first home runs I ever saw hit in the Big A was with Reggie, where he goes down and he like bends down. And he's like maybe 3 inches off the ground to get the low ball, and smashed it over the left field fence at the Big A when it was enclosed. But no, Angels fan. No. I mean, how many home runs is Judge going to hit this year, by the way?
I think he's on pace for 612.
Okay, cool. I can
around that number.
I can get that. Yeah. I mean, because he's like at 98 right now, right?
And it's amazing. Was it about a year ago where hey, first time, long time. It's Joey from Massapequa. I don't know if we should sign this Judge guy. I mean, he's always hurt.
Oh my God! And yeah, how'd that work out for you? Yeah, really. So you got Judge and the Yankees, and like I said, most of the fans here that are watching the show or that are a part of the show, yes, they are Braves fans for the most part. Me, I'm a West Coast guy. I know that my team sucks, and I don't want my owner, and he double clutched on a sale, and I get all that stuff. So no, I'm stuck with it. I know I'm stuck with Artie Moreno for the foreseeable future, and that's just how it's going to be for me.
Have you heard the? And again, I know you're not a Braves fan, but pretty cool song. Morgan Wallen has a song, 98 Braves.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, okay. I just heard it the other day.
Okay, I will have to dig it up on the YouTubes and see how many obscure like Eddie Perez mentions or anything like that. Steve.
He gets pretty in there. I mean, things are accurate from what he's singing about. So
okay, just checking. So then I'm going to have to go and check that song. Speaking of the Braves, I need to go back and watch the Greg Maddux documentary that came out on MLB Network.
Oh yeah.
And all of the things, like he called his own pitches, and with Eddie Perez, it was like, you pick your nose, it's a curveball, you wipe your brow, it's a cutter. Those kind of things. Literally, he called his own pitches, and he set up Jeff Bagwell 3 months apart in at bats, and it's like, I'm going to give him a fastball, and then we're going to face them in the playoffs, and so 3 months later, they face the Astros in the playoffs, and Bagwell's looking for that four-seam fastball to the inside. They give him 3 straight changeups, same location, strikes out, bases loaded, out of a jam. So that's how forward-thinking Greg Maddux was, and it was really cool to see those clips of Mad Dog and how he developed. But baseball down here traditionally runs at 3:30 in the morning on Mondays. So when it comes to Major League Soccer, the breaking news in hour number 1. Our long international nightmare is this much closer to being over, as Michelle Kaufman at the Miami Herald reports that Lionel Messi jogging off to the side in an individual workout, huzzas and trumpets, the skinny trumpets with the flags and the dudes dressed in the medieval Renaissance gear. That's what was happening, I guess, at the training ground this morning in Miami Gardens. That they're that much closer to having Messi.
Either that or they're all sipping on like matcha. So
true, yeah, absolutely. So it could have been the trumpeters sipping on mate, celebrating the individual workouts return of Messi. So it's no longer just and friends in the Gulfstream Galacticos. But we were talking about it with the Eastern Conference. I still think that Columbus is the top team in the East, better than Messi and friends, even if they're at full strength. What have you seen in the Eastern Conference? I know that you've been staring at NYC and their growth and Red Bulls and their growth right now at the 4-5. But when you look at the top of the East, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, I think, because if we rewind back to, I don't know, February, right? Like start of the season, we probably would have had those roles reversed, right? Like where we would have said, yeah, Columbus, they are going to be the Shield winners. There is no doubt. But Miami, they're not made for the long haul, but they could win these short tournaments. I literally said that
Mm-hmm.
on a number of occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And the script has been flipped. And you have to give credit where it's due. I mean, for Miami to just continue to do what they do, without the best player on the planet for as long as they have, it's a huge credit to them. Absolutely. I think he gets sort of that hockey assist there, right? Just because I think when you have a player like that, obviously everything elevates. The locker room is elevated, right? Like everyone, it's just a different mentality and a different feel, I think. And you saw it with other great players, whether it was Henry here at Red Bulls or Beckham in LA. And they weren't even the best players on the planet at the time. So, he does get some credit for that, but also it's a testament, how many people counted them out on a number of occasions. I'll put my hand up and I said, I don't know, in August, in the heat, Suarez, his knees.
Yeah.
No, everything has been to this point. That train has continued to chug along. So credit to Tata and everybody there at Miami. But I am in agreement with you. I think Columbus is the best team in the. Listen. That Eastern Conference final will be outstanding, right? Between those two, if that's what we get. But the two of them have separated themselves from the pack. There's no doubt, right? Like Cincinnati's obviously taking a step back. They're continuing to try to fill that gap at center back.
Gaps plural. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're at this point, it feels like a distant third. And then the battle for 4 or 5. And this is an interesting one for you.
Yeah.
So I have long wanted a Hudson River Derby playoff extravaganza, and we haven't had it. Right? They've met in the Open Cup. Red Bulls winning, I believe, both of those I think there were 2 matchups in the Open Cup. They won both. But how great would it be to see those two go at it in a 3-game series? But here's the caveat. As you know, Dylan Butler Estate's not quite ready.
No.
And both of the local baseball teams, the aforementioned Yankees and the New York Metropolitans, are gearing up for playoff pushes.
Mm-hmm.
NYCFC have announced their last 2 regular season games have been moved because of MLB playoffs to Red Bull Arena.
Oh.
Should these teams continue in their baseball playoff push, and those stadiums are not available, that home and home would be exclusively at Red Bull Arena.
Just turns into a home, yeah.
Yes, but like the Red Bull fans then for the NYCFC home leg would be the away fans.
Yeah.
And it would be pure chaos.
Would they get their same season ticket seats? Would they get them?
It's an NYCFC home game.
Yeah. Would they still get their same seats?
Well, what they don't do for NYCFC home games at Red Bull Arena is they don't put anyone in the supporter section behind the goal, like that one side. The NYCFC supporter section is on the other side. So if you picture a regular Red Bulls game, that section 101 behind, if you're watching on television, the goal to your right.
Okay.
That's the safe standing Red Bulls supporter sections. NYCFC fans are not permitted to be there. So they set up behind goal number on the left. So that section is empty now. I would assume that that would be filled with Red Bull fans, but and also NYCFC fans don't go to Red Bull Arena. So like it would be NYCFC. I mean, if NYCFC fans really wanted to mess ish up, they would go out and fill the place, and you'd have very few Red Bull fans there. Like that would be hilarious.
Oh man, that is a special brand of chaos.
But think about it, like so, if NYCFC earns home field advantage,
right?
It would. I mean, again, this is all likely. I mean, it's not finalized, I should say.
Yeah,
it's just me theorizing it, but they would earn home field advantage at Red Bull Arena.
Yeah, and to that's a special brand of chaos that only that only NYCFC and Red Bulls can bring to the table here.
And it's not going to be for much longer, right? I mean, obviously once Dylan Butler Estates is
completed
built.
Allegedly, yeah, and then it will be undersized Dylan Butler Estates. It will be a medium for a soccer stadium and for Dylan Butler Estates. I still think that they're underbuilding in the live work play environment. To get into I want to circle back to NYC and Red Bulls as a part of the discussion of the 4-5 here in a bit.
And Charlotte too. They're in that mix.
And Charlotte, Atlanta's got them this weekend up there in Charlotte. So we'll see what happens in the race for the 8-9, which is chaos. And we got into that where you have 9 to the bottom, 7 teams separated by 2 points. Thanks. The math and all the other things that are going to be involved for the sprint for the final 8 matches for most folks. The lineup that Messi and Friends, which was and Friends last time, trotted out against Cincinnati. You had Calendar and net, and that's normal. You had Hector David Martinez, Busquets, and Tomas Avalos, the walking red card, as your back 3. And Tata, what Tata does is he'll go, he'll go 3-5-2, 5-3-2, what have you. It could morph into other things. Jordi Alba would drift back as a left back. You'd have Weigand, Marcelo Weigand, who has been brought in as one of the transactions under the salary cap, the magician that Chris Henderson has become, the Doug Hennig of Major League Soccer. He and John Thorrington are battling for that title. So you had the back 3, we'll just call it the back 3, Martinez, Busquets, and Aviles. Your midfield 4, Alba, Federico Redondo, Yannick Bright, Marcelo Weigand. Diego Gomez up top with Luis Suarez and Matias Rojas. So some of the folks there aren't even household names in their own household. And they're being put in the lineups by Tata Martino and getting the same kind of success. Ian Frey comes up for Messi and Friends too. Noah Allen, Robert Taylor, Campagna getting minutes occasionally. You end up with David Ruiz, Benja Kremovsky, Sergei Krivtsov, and Franco Negri. Like I said, reinforcing the fact that getting guys to fit under the cap, there's some folks there that are, I'm sure, getting paid some nice NIL deals, to make sure that they're a part of the equation. But Tata Martino, with all the injuries and all the juggling that he's had to do, has had the support of his front office, and they've made it work financially. I'd love to know how, but once again, that's something Major League Soccer isn't really too keen on letting us know. But that lineup last time out against Cincinnati, and the last 4 times out that Cincinnati has had a man advantage, they have not won a match and they've only scored 1 goal. That should tell you all you need to know about Cincinnati, I would think.
Yeah.
it ain't there because that back line for them, Miles Robinson playing either left center back or left back in the 3-4-3 for, or whatever you want to call it. Chidozie Awaziam and DeAndre Yedlin, those were your 3 backs or your 3 center backs. And you had Yuya Kubo who would come back and help out and defend. Luca Oriano, possibly, if you went 5 at the back with Bodo, who had an awful giveaway for goal number 2 when you scored 2 goals in the first 6 minutes. and Buca, and then up top it's Kelsey, Dottie Valenzuela, and Joaquini. But the problems at the back for me, the injuries at the back, and how you're trying to solve them if you're Pat Noonan, that's why I've got Cincinnati not as a part of the discussion in the Eastern Conference. For me, it is Columbus and Messi and friends.
Yeah, and if you're Cincinnati, I think, I mean, you're certainly not punting on the end of the season,
No.
but like you're just making sure, like you're massaging situations. Is Lucho? Let's get him to full health. Like you're not going to finish first in the East. You're not going to win the Shield. With the games in hand and the way that Columbus is playing, you're not going to be second. So look, you're third, right? You have a home game, like you're good. So if I'm Cincinnati, that's what I kind of do here. I get, have your center backs now. With Teenage joining yesterday, I think it was. Get them reps, get them together, everyone on the same page, get Lucho healthy. Anyone else needs a breather, and just maybe go on cruise control down the stretch drive and prep yourself for the playoffs.
Teenage Hadibi. That is a name that I didn't think that I would be.
Come back, say again.
Yes, exactly. Teenage
Well,
Hadibi.
listen, he fit the perfect, like, you needed it to be someone who is a free agent, who is not tied to a club.
Right.
He's a guy who has MLS experience, right? So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, he played for Dynamo, and then he was over in Turkey, and then the Turkish club did not renew his contract. So Teenage Hadibi, God bless you. You end up having him available, and you're trying to sit there and plug folks in to sit there, and it's like, okay, how are we going to get across the finish line here? And so that's what you're looking at right now with Cincinnati. And so with what's going on with the story in the Northeast, Red Bulls at 42. They've been doing what they've been able to do the last little while without Emil Forsberg. And then you've got what Nick Cushing did after the rough start. They figured things out. They're in fifth right now. They've got one more win than Red Bull, but they're 3 points behind. When you look at these two going down the stretch and you kind of see where they are, how do you think this shakes out? Does it stay Red Bulls 3 points? Do you see NYC sneaking up and taking the 4 or taking the position away from Red Bulls as they get to the finish line? What are you staring at here with these?
Yeah, I mean, first off, a brutal 2 points dropped for NYCFC at home against Chicago. You can't do that. Like if you're fighting for that spot, you can't give away points like that. So
yeah,
they missed a golden opportunity to be right there neck and neck. I mean, obviously they're a few points back, but listen, it's literally 1 month from today. NYCFC Red Bull, Hudson River Derby at Red Bull Arena. I think it decides it, right? Like I think unless either side goes crazy on either, in either way, which I don't really see happening, I think that match will likely decide it.
Philly and Columbus is a makeup game tonight, and Abby and others in the Twitch pitch and on our social media basically are rooting as hard for Crew as humanly possible, just on general premise when it comes to Philly, even though our buddy Rich Ransom is a part of our Twitch pitch clan as well. When you look at Philly and what has happened with them wanting to run it back one more year, everybody's a year older. We're all a year older. I mean, that's, the rotation of this planet around that star in the center of our solar system kind of reinforces that. When you look at Philly, they no longer have Jose Martinez. He's headed to South America. You're missing pieces and everybody's a year older. When you look at Philly, what do you see right now in them going forward? Because right now they're at the 10. They're a part of that scrum from 9 to the bottom. What are you staring at from Philadelphia as they try to run it back one more time, and they're going to have problems to get into the play-in round at the 8-9 right now?
Yeah, I I feel like the way that they're playing,
Mm-hmm.
I think they get in. And if they do, I mean, look, they're a dangerous team because of their experience, right? So, um, Tyberibo has been outstanding, right? We a year ago we're like, what? Why did they sign this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's filled that void that Carranza left perfectly, arguably better. And right now down the stretch they're playing, their best soccer. Like I feel like Leagues Cup I think can it could serve a few different purposes for teams. Like obviously the winner, or sorry, the top 3 teams get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So that's a goal for them. But I think it also allows teams to get into a bit of to get some momentum rolling, right? Like if things weren't going well, we saw that was a possibility, although it didn't work out for like a Nashville, right? Like, hey, new coach, let's get it going. Leagues Cup, we can maybe get something, and then that didn't work. But for Philly, it has.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're, this is the this is like, I don't know, pick your band, right? Like the Eagles, the world tour, like their final, the Rolling Stones 25th final
Yes.
group of shows. Like this is it for these guys.
Yeah.
So
so then who's Mick Jagger and who's Keith Richards and who's Ronnie Wood?
Because Bedoya's got to be one of those guys, right?
Okay, so let's see, Alejandro Bedoya.
Is he the head of the Philly Snake, right? So would he be Mick Jagger?
Yeah, I think he might be. I think Bedoya would be Jagger.
I think you have to have Blake as somebody.
Blake is probably Ronnie Wood because
he's in the back, right?
Well, and Ronnie doesn't really talk a whole lot. He's just he's the bass player, and he keeps the rhythm of everything. So I would say probably either Blake or Wagner is Ronnie Wood. Then maybe Glesnes is whoever has replaced Charlie Watts with drums. And so then you've got to come up with.
Where does Blake, or just because of positionally where they are, would Blake be?
Yeah, well, okay, so then Blake would be the drummer, and then Wagner or Glesnes would be Ronnie Wood. And we just have to figure out who, if Bedoya is Keith Richards, who is, if Bedoya is Mick Jagger, who's Keith Richards in this equation? Who else has been there for 9,000 years, but is kind of like the number 2? He's the B-side for Philly.
I mean, Elliott's been there for a while.
Okay. Is there anybody else who's like 9,000 years old that has been there for 11 billion years that would fit in the band structure? That's our question for the Twitch pitch.
It would have been.
Yeah,
Ozunio, I guess, but
yeah, well, or it could have been Jose Martinez. It could have been one of those before they go ahead and leave. So,
Jose Martinez, like Keith Richards, would smash a guitar over someone's head. So
true. Okay, so since he hasn't played for Corinthians yet, we'll go ahead and put Jose Martinez in as Keith Richards. So, yeah, for this last tour of the Stones, otherwise known as the Philadelphia Union, that's what you're staring at with their band lineup. Toronto. I want to get into Toronto with you a little bit and the continuing saga of John Herdman before we go. It appears, according to Joshua Clokey at The Athletic, as yesterday you had your Can Champ second legs of the semifinals to determine who's going to be playing for the Canadian Championship, and it's going to be Toronto.
I'm a big fan of Can Champ. I love me some Can Champ.
Well, and last night at BMO, Forge drove down the QEW to go play at BMO Field, and away goals apparently matter in this competition. So you end up with Toronto advancing, and John Herdman at the buzzer decides to sprint onto the field and celebrate with his players and the supporters and not shake Bobby Smirniotis' hand. He just kind of like was a bat out of hell, heads out onto the field, and he's going to do his thing. I don't think there was ever a make good handshake opportunity. So John Herdman, once again, just runs out onto the field, doesn't shake a hand to thank Forge for
He got
their
caught up in the Can Champ experience.
Yes, he did. The Can Champ chaos. Yeah,
Yes.
John Herdman got caught up in that. But there's also talk, Joshua Clokey at The Athletic mentioned that there was a drone that was viewing a Forge practice on July 19th, I believe. And Forge was like, oh, okay, there's a drone. Great. And so they didn't do anything about it. But now there's an investigation going on in addition to everything else that has been going on involving drones and John Herdman. Where did this drone come from that was watching Forge's practice? That if it was from Toronto FC, it didn't help him because it was still a 2-1 win for Forge. But you still have these questions about Canada Soccer and the independent investigation. And now you have John Herdman once again coming into the crosshairs of did he drone or did he not drone? These kinds of things. And we still end up with an elongated investigation in more instances that might be jammed onto John Herdman and his coaching dossier here.
I will say, when I think of Canada,
mm-hmm.
I think of the great sport of hockey.
Yes.
You affiliate probably Tim Hortons.
Absolutely true. Swiss Chalet, Tim Hortons, Zellers. Yeah, the Aero bars. I'm right there with you.
Maple syrup.
Yes, absolutely true.
And apparently now drones.
I guess so.
Who knew?
Well, I didn't.
Such a Canadian thing.
Look, if you could get the drone sponsored by WestJet.
Was it a red drone?
Oh no, that's the thing.
With a maple leaf on it.
Yeah, was there a maple leaf on it? Was it a WestJet? What was it sponsored by? Any of the other Rope says you could get it sponsored by a poutine manufacturer. Get it sponsored. Get it sponsored by Swiss Chalet or something. But there are more questions now. There continue to be more questions added than we have answers involving him and his coaching behaviors, I guess, for lack of a better word. Where do you stand on John Herdman and Canada Soccer and all of this as they still continue to investigate with everything that happened involving Canada Soccer and the women's team and the Olympics and all these? Where do you stand on John Herdman right now? Heavy sigh to start.
I think it's too much to unpack in the time. I mean, I don't know. I guess to be determined on what happens with him. It's unfortunate. Like, if this was just some random drone, it's unfortunate because of the other allegations that, now everything is coming back to him, coming back to Canada Soccer, right? Like, and it's because these situations, one, obviously happened at the Olympics, and two, haven't been resolved yet. So
right,
you're going to get, I guess, these allegations.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. So yeah, so you're of a wait and see right now involving
I think so. Yeah,
Canada Soccer and everything. Okay, break it down for me. How busy are you going to be, sir, this weekend? Do you know how busy you're going to be yet when it comes to the high school footballs and the varsity media?
Yeah, for sure. We just actually did our it was live on location. It was actually really, really cool. Even if you're not into New York high school football, we had a pretty cool show last night from one of our sponsors. Place is called Blaze Pizza.
Oh, Blaze Pizza, yes.
And it was at one of their locations in the heart of Queens. So we were in Fresh Meadows, Queens, we were on their outside area. Like, buses were going by, people were all honking horns. Like, it was a really cool, I thought, visual. And we had, I think we ended up with 5 or 6 teams that came live, about an hour and a half show. And it leads to the kickoff, which is this Saturday, week 0 big rivalry game on Long Island, Chaminade and St. Anthony's. So that's Saturday at 1:00 on the Varsity Media YouTube channel.
Yes.
I'll be on tonight for a doubleheader of that aforementioned Philly Columbus and Seattle LAFC US Open Cup. I'll be on the desk for those for MLSsoccer.com, and busy weekend again, right? Apparently now we're on Messi watch.
Yes, we are. We're on Messi watch. He's back in an individual workout doing toe touchies and jumping up and down.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that on Saturday, and one match on Sunday, LA against St. Louis. I'll be on for that as well. So yeah, busy stretch.
All right, enjoy the beverage that is in your Yankees mug, sir, and enjoy the rest of the transfer deadline week with your beloved Newcastle. And we will catch up with you as the busiest.
By the way, I saw on your mini rundown that possibly discussing Oasis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are my guys.
Yeah, and so
I've seen Oasis. I don't know. I didn't do the math. Probably 8 times, maybe. They've got to be coming to New York. Here's my thing, right, John? Sorry to go to extra time. Here's my thing. They've got to. They're calling it a world tour, right? So obviously, there's going to be more than just the UK involvement,
right?
But please make New York the first stop out of the UK, because this train is going to go off the tracks at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
I would just not, don't go out west or go to Singapore and then come here, because it's never going to get to New York.
Yeah.
So come to New York first. Let's see it. And
then you can fight on stage. Is basically.
And then whatever happens.
You know it. Yeah. Jason saw him in '95, and so Jason is our Oasis expert. The rest of us fall in line. Be good, my friend. We will catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Cheers.